Back to Godhead Prabhupada Authorized Purports on Sripada Sankaracarya's Meditation on the Bhagavad Gita. Back to Godhead Volume 40, 1970-1973 by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Versification by Hayagriva Dasa Adhikari. Sri Sankaracarya, or Sankara, is considered to be an incarnation of Lord Shiva, as the Padma Purana testifies. Appearing in India in the 6th century AD, he single-handedly drove the Buddhist philosophy out of India and re-established Vedic culture, all in his short lifetime of 32 years. Although he took up the impersonalist guise to better battle the Buddhists, impersonalism is much akin to Buddhism. The commentary rendered below, as well as other writings, reveal him to be a devotee of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sankara's most famous treatise is Vivekachudamani, and his other works include Sararaka Bhasya and Prayers for Krishna. 1. Bhagavad Gita, through thy 18 chapters thou showerest upon man the immortal nectar of the wisdom of the Absolute. A blessed Gita, by thee, Lord Krishna himself enlightened Arjuna. Afterward, the ancient sage Vyasa included thee in the Mahabharata. O loving mother, destroyer of man's rebirth into the darkness of this mortal world, upon thee I meditate. 2 Salutations to thee, O Vyasa, thou art of mighty intellect, and shine eyes are large as the petals of the full-blown lotus. It was thou who brightened this lamp of wisdom, filling it with the oil of the Mahabharata. Purport. Srimad Sankaracarya was an impersonalist from the materialist point of view. But he never denied the spiritual form known as Saksidananda Vigraya, or the eternal all-blissful form of knowledge which existed before the material creation. When he spoke of Supreme Brahman as impersonal, he did not mean that the Lord's Saksidananda form was to be confused with a material conception of personality. In the very beginning of his commentary on the Gita, he maintains that Narayana, the Supreme Lord, is transcendental to the material creation. The Lord existed before the creation as the transcendental personality, and he has nothing to do with material personality. Lord Krishna is the same Supreme Personality, and he has no connection with the material body. He descends in his spiritual eternal form, but foolish people mistake his body to be like unto ours. Sankara's preaching of impersonalism is especially meant for teaching foolish persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary man composed of matter. No one would care to read the Gita if it had been spoken by a material man, and certainly Vyasadeva wouldn't have bothered even to incorporate it into the history of the Mahabharata. According to the above verses, Mahabharata is the history of the ancient world, and Vyasadeva is the writer of this great epic. Bhagavad Gita is identical with Krishna, and because Krishna is the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no difference between Krishna and his words. Therefore the Bhagavad Gita is as worshipable as Lord Krishna himself, both being absolute. One who hears Bhagavad Gita as actually hears the words directly from the lotus lips of the Lord. But unfortunate persons say that the Gita is too antiquated for the modern man who wants to find out God by speculation or meditation. 3. I salute thee, O Krishna, O thou who art the refuge of ocean-born Lakshmi and all who take refuge at thy lotus feet. Thou art indeed the wish-fulfilling tree for thy devotee. Thy one hand holds a staff for driving cows, and thy other hand is raised, the thumb touching the tip of thy forefinger, indicating divine knowledge. Salutations to thee, O Supreme Lord, for thou art the milker of the ambrosia of the Gita. Purport. Srimad Sankaracarya explicitly says, you fools, just worship Govinda in that Bhagavad Gita spoken by Narayana himself, yet foolish people still conduct their research work to find out Narayana, consequently they are wretched and they waste their time for nothing. Narayana is never wretched nor Daridra, rather, he is worshipped by the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, as well as all living entities. Sankara declared himself to be Brahman, but he admits Narayana or Krishna to be the Supreme Personality who is beyond the material creation. He offers his respects to Krishna as the Supreme Brahman or Param Brahman because he, Krishna, is worshipable by everyone. Only the fools and enemies of Krishna who cannot understand what Bhagavad Gita is, though they make commentaries on it, say, it is not the personal Krishna to whom we have to surrender ourselves utterly, but to the unborn, beginningless eternal who speaks through Krishna. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Whereas Sankara, the greatest of the impersonalists, offers his due respects to Krishna and his book Bhagavad Gita, the foolish say that it is not to the personal Krishna. Such unenlightened people do not know that Krishna is absolute and that there is no difference between his inside and outside. The difference of inside and outside is experienced in the dual material world. In the absolute world there is no such difference because in the absolute everything is spiritual, Saksidananda, and Narayana or Krishna belongs to the absolute world. In the absolute world there is only the factual personality, and there is no distinction between body and soul. For the Upanishads are as a herd of cows, Lord Krishna, son of a cowherd, is their milker, Arjuna is the calf, the supreme nectar of the Gita is the milk, and the wise man of purified intellect is the drinker. Purport: unless one understands spiritual variegatedness, one cannot understand the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that Krishna's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage and paraphernalia are all Ananda Sinmaya Rasa. In short, everything of his transcendental association is of the same composition of spiritual bliss, knowledge and eternity. There is no end to his name, form, etc., unlike the material world where all things have their end. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, only fools deride him, whereas it is Sankara, the greatest impersonalist, who worships him, his cows and his pastimes as the son of Vasudeva and pleasure of Devaki. 5 Thou son of Vasudeva, destroyer of the demons Kamsa and Kinnura, thou supreme bliss of Mother Devaki, O thou Guru of the universe, teacher of the worlds, thee, O Krishna, I salute. Purport: Sankara describes him as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Does he mean thereby that he is worshipping an ordinary material man? He worships Krishna because he knows that Krishna's birth and activities are all supernatural. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, Krishna's birth and activities are mysterious and transcendental and therefore only the devotees of Krishna can know them perfectly. Sankara was not such a fool that he would accept Krishna as an ordinary man and at the same time offer him all devotional obeisances, knowing him as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. According to Bhagavad Gita, only by knowing the transcendental birth and activities of Krishna can one attain liberation by acquiring a spiritual form like Krishna. There are 5 different kinds of liberations. One who merges into the spiritual oars of Krishna, known as impersonal Brahma effulgence, does not fully develop his spiritual body. But one who fully develops his spiritual existence becomes an associate of Narayana or Krishna in different spiritual abodes. One who enters into the abode of Narayana develops a spiritual form exactly like Narayana, 4-handed, and one who enters into the highest spiritual abode of Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavana, develops a spiritual form of 2 hands like Krishna. Sankara, as an incarnation of Lord Shiva, knows all these spiritual existences, but he did not disclose them to his then Buddhist followers because it was impossible for them to know about the spiritual world. Lord Buddha preached that void is the ultimate goal, so how could his followers understand spiritual variegatedness? Therefore Sankara said Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya, or material variegatedness is false but spiritual variegatedness is fact. In the Padma Purana Lord Shiva has admitted that he had to preach the philosophy of Maya or illusion and the Kali Yuga is another edition of the void philosophy of Buddha. He had to do this by the order of the Lord for specific reasons. He, however, disclosed his real mind by recommending that people worship Krishna, for no one can be saved simply by mental speculations composed of word jugglery and grammatical maneuvers. Sankara instructs further, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudhamate, Prapt Sanayite Maranai, Raksati Dukran Karan. You intellectual fools, just worship Govinda, just worship Govinda, just worship Govinda. Your grammatical knowledge and word jugglery will not save you at the time of death. 6 Of the terrifying river of the battlefield of Kurukshetra over which the Pandavas victoriously crossed, Bhisma and Drona were as the high banks, Jayadratha as the river's water, the king of Gandhara the blue water lily, Salya the shark, Karpa the current, Karna the mighty waves, Asvadhama and Vikarna the dread alligators, and Duryodhana the very whirlpool, but thou, O Krishna, wast the ferryman. 7 May the spotless lotus of the Mahabharata that grows on the waters of the words of Vyasa and of which the Bhagavad Gita is the irresistibly sweet fragrance and its tales of heroes the full-blown petals fully opened by the talk of Lord Hari, who destroys the sins of Kali Yuga, and on which daily light the nectar-seeking souls, as so many bees swarming joyously, may this lotus of the Mahabharata bestow on us the highest good. 8 Salutations to Lord Krishna the embodiment of supreme bliss, by whose grace and compassion the dumb become eloquent and the lame scale mountains. Him I salute. Purport: foolish followers of foolish speculators cannot understand the meaning of offering salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss. Sankara himself offered his salutations to Lord Krishna so that some of his intelligent followers might understand the real fact by the example set by their great master Sankara, the incarnation of Lord Shiva. But there are many obstinate followers of Sankara who refuse to offer their salutations to Lord Krishna, and instead mislead innocent persons by injecting materialism into the Bhagavad Gita and confusing innocent readers by their commentaries, and consequently the readers never have the opportunity to become blessed by offering salutations to Lord Krishna, the cause of all causes. The greatest disservice to humanity is to keep mankind in darkness about the science of Krishna or Krishna consciousness by distorting the sense of the Gita. 9 Salutations to that Supreme Shining One whom the Creator Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, Marut and all divine beings praise with hymns, whose glories are sung by the verses of the Vedas, of whom the singers of Sama sing and of whose glories the Upanishads proclaim in full choir, whom the yogis see with their minds absorbed in perfect meditation, and of whom all the hosts of gods and demons know not the limitations. To him, the supreme God Krishna, be all salutations, him we salute. Him we salute. Him we salute. Purport by recitation of the 9th verse of his meditation quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sankara has indicated that Lord Krishna is worshipable by one and all, including himself. He gives hints to materialists, impersonalists, mental speculators, void philosophers and all other candidates subjected to the punishment of material miseries. Just offer salutations to Lord Krishna, who is worshipped by Brahma, Shiva, Varuna, Indra and all other demigods. He has not mentioned, however, the name of Vishnu because Vishnu is identical with Krishna. The Vedas and the Upanishads are meant for understanding the process by which one can surrender unto Krishna. The yogis try to see him, Krishna, within themselves by meditation. In other words, it is for all the demigods and demons who do not know where the ultimate end is that Sankara teaches, and he especially instructs the demons and the fools to offer salutations to Krishna and his words, the Bhagavad Gita, by following in his footsteps. Only by such acts will the demons be benefited, not by misleading their innocent followers by so-called mental speculations or show-bottle meditations. Sankara directly offers salutations to Krishna as if to show the fools, who are searching after light, that here is light like the sun. But the fallen demons are like owls that will not open their eyes on account of their fear of the sunlight itself. These owls will never open their eyes to see the sublime light of Krishna and his words, the Bhagavad Gita. They will, however, comment on the Gita with their closed owl eyes to mislead their unfortunate readers and followers. Sankara, however, discloses the light to his less intelligent followers and shows that Bhagavad Gita and Krishna are the only source of light. This is all to teach the sincere seekers of truth to offer salutation to Lord Krishna and thus surrender unto him without misgivings. That is the highest perfection of life, and that is the highest teaching of Sankara, the great learned scholar whose teachings drove the void philosophy of Buddha out of India, the land of knowledge. Om Tat Sat.